blog post a while ago about why I fucking hate books. Because this is what it does. It appeals to like the male fantasy.
That was great. The mic wasn't on. Excellent beginning. So we'll just do that over again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Redo.
So welcome to the very first episode of the Spoilers Book Club. I'm Nick Spoiler. I'll be your host. And this is Amanda, a lovely co-host, Sherpa, executive assistant. What else should we make up?
Just the best girl here.
That's true. That's also true. I see Jenny Tolls there in the chat. Very thank you for the assist with the can't hear you. Forgot that we had the mic muted. So we're going to be going over the first 10 chapters of Altered Carbon by Richard K. Morgan. Just throw that back up there again. You could probably see that before, even though the mic was off. But this is my, I think, third read through on this book. I watched the show first and then read the book. And you are
listening.
You're listening and reading. So you're getting to compare the audiobook and the written version.
Yes.
And we also watched the show together, the first season, which is totally not exactly the book, but it's
fun.
It's more the book than the second season. It's this first book. Yeah. So a really interesting thing with this book is I think it's Morgan's first book that was published, and it didn't get published until like his early 40s or something. So it's never too late. Always get started if you want to write and publish books. So technical note, we're not at sea. We are sitting on yoga balls. So if we're bouncing around a little bit too much, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of, we kind of jump into it then. So you have notes, I have notes.
Let's get it
The
going.
book starts off with a prologue, which could easily have just been chapter 1 as well, but it's not too long. But I think it was a really good start to the story. What did you think about that?
I liked, yeah, it's a really intense beginning.
Yeah, really, really intense. It gives you a good start.
Shut up and like,
it gives you a little bit of backstory of like why
so
Kovac was in storage before the events of the main story get going. It just starts a little bit of character development for him, starting to show a little bit of the tone of the world. I like it, like right towards the beginning, it kind of shows that he's open to drug use, which really most of us are. As much coffee that we drink, caffeine is like the most popular psychoactive drug. Yeah.
Coffee.
I don't know. Some people can't handle it. So, but really, I think it's kind of like a beautifully written scene, like very intense, like you said. But I do wonder a little bit. It seems like they could have been more prepared. They're just like sitting around. They didn't have anything
Yeah, in
really
the
ready
show,
to
he's like,
go to
see
take
through,
him
I can
out.
see through walls, and I'm ready.
Yeah,
But in
and
the
the boy's like, "Oh, here, a
book,
helicopter. There might be something going
yeah,
down."
there's a helicopter.
Yeah, but I
It's
really
getting
liked it.
relaxed sometimes.
So, and then chapter 1, we get right
Mhm.
back. We're on Earth, which turns out to be San Francisco, but they just call it Bay City.
Where he's just basically being reborn in some slime.
Yeah, little bit of a rough start, but I guess that's how it goes sometimes, especially when they're being resurrected after a violent death. So he's kind of having a rough time.
Yeah.
That went.
I also like how he's just like, couldn't make out what everything was, and everything is just the same as when you stop and then it just starts all over again. However many years you've been stuck.
Like his memories and everything just pick back up from 100 years prior.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just like, oh,
It seems like
I'm
it'd
here.
be
What?
super
Shock.
shocking. But he apparently had training when he was part of the Envoy Corps
Mm-hmm.
that makes that a little bit smoother. But still,
Mhm.
you're thinking like, okay, 100 years in the future, and then we come to find out that a lot of like the technology hasn't even changed terribly because he's still in tune with. He's not like completely shocked with how anything
Yeah.
is or what it works, and he can kind of navigate generally.
Yeah.
So
He just has to wash the slime off and get going. But it
yeah,
sounds like other people have a more difficult time. They've
yeah.
never been brought back. Is that the term?
We can call it that. We can call it a lot of things. And I think with the prologue, and then even starting it through the some of the things that are revealed in the first chapter, I'm gonna say like he's the protagonist clearly, but he's not exactly a hero.
Yeah.
I think that's like a distinction that maybe we need to make more often in stories. Kind of sometimes too simplistic, just in like, oh, it's the main character, he's gonna be the hero.
Mhm.
And I think it was kind of dumbed down for the TV show as well. They tried to make him a little more sympathetic instead of just he's just who he is. But so as we're going through this, we're not talking about it mostly like you've also read it first.
Mhm.
Welcome to be here whether or not you have. But if you have read it, you might also have some of your own opinions. You can throw those in the chat and give us some feedback, things that you liked or didn't like, parts of the book that spoke to you. And we'll especially address those if they're part of the section that we're talking about.
Yeah, the other part that I liked is just the hilarity of him when he's like, I burst out into song as I walked out the door, and the book is really funny. The show is just so serious.
Yeah, maybe there's a
So
little
I
bit
don't
more
talk to these
levity
people.
in the book,
And then he's just kind of funny.
but it's also like very visceral in the writing and the violence and everything else.
Yeah, that's
it
true.
really comes through in the writing.
Violent yet funny.
And with all the paperwork that Kovacs is signing, he does end up like the book establishes that he has like a 6-week period. So like right from the get-go where we have that urgency is established. Like, what's going on? So in 6 weeks it's gonna happen. So,
Yeah,
that was
6
pretty
weeks.
good.
A short time. Just like, hey, figure out this case. 6 weeks.
Yeah, a new body,
A
a
letter,
planet you've never
just-
been to before.
Yeah.
So there's a
Here's
lot
the
going on there.
future.
I think it was an interesting detail too, where like he's signing and he mentions like he doesn't have he'll like sign his real name, the name that's attached to like his stack.
Kovacs.
Yeah, but it's not in his handwriting.
Yeah.
So
I
it
like
starts
that
to
too.
establish like there's things that are ingrained in the body and not in the mind. But there's a lot more that I think is covered, and then also things that are like skipped over
Yeah.
as the story goes.
And his body is
And we
like
kinda hit more
still
of those.
connecting. He's like, I'm still coming to, and
Yeah, he's not 100%
not
when he walks
100% when he
out.
wakes out, yeah.
And that continues because he's like thrown right into the story as we're
Mhm.
moving along.
Yeah, and he looks so different compared to the show. Like, he's not blonde, he has dark hair, and
Yeah.
still really tall, and like
Yes,
swimmer's body.
yeah,
So
swimmers body, swimmers builds, however
yeah,
they wrote that.
this
That continued with the
neurocam mystery.
yeah.
Like, what's inside there are showing from the outside. Like, what is there?
So
Yeah.
let's jump into chapter 2.
Okay.
He's interacting with Ortega,
Mm.
who has circumvented the person that's supposed to pick him up. And he starts to hear about the Catholics. I'm like, oh, what's a Catholic?
Yeah, they're like rioting outside the, what do you call that place? I forget the name of it. It's like a sleeving facility.
Yeah, I don't remember the proper name, but that was it.
Yeah, they're like, your bodies, or you can't, what did they say? You can't digitize a human being without losing their soul.
Yeah.
So, I was shocked.
Yeah.
What is
Good
this?
luck with that. But it was especially that the Catholics, they're all stuck on Earth. There's been like 500 years of interstellar travel, and they never really like moved off.
Yeah. And
Mike's back on.
Missy Keys.
This irritating cough, still persisting. Don't try not to blow out
So
anybody's
please
speakers.
just show up, give him Kristen Ortega. Just like, I'm gonna give you an escort here.
Yeah.
And they're all, he's like, you gonna teach these children, or are you gonna show me around?
And we get to see the actual letter from Bancroft to Kovash, kind of outlining what's going on. And it's a kind of acceptable example of supposed to like show don't tell, but having the letter there is really kind of like direct telling of this is what's going on. But I think
That's what you need to do.
it's good. It doesn't cheapen it or become bad writing, because somehow it's actually the letter the way it's formatted on the page even.
Yeah. Basically, bought you, so do my bidding.
Yeah, it's like not a situation where he wants to be in, but probably one that he can handle. So, and the worst that happens seems to be he goes back on storage, and he was already there, and they're pulling out early anyway. Going along. So the next chapter in 3, he does
It's his heart on.
arrive at. Well, that's not my note.
What is he? Like a
But-
fire-filled hose.
I think he's skipping
Have you
ahead.
seen some Miriam? I thought it's chapter 3.
Oh, when she's just outside in her tennis gear.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
doesn't have
he's
his body
immediately-
connections yet.
Hello.
He's like, what? My hormones are all crazy.
Yeah. Because in this chapter, he does arrive at the Suntouch house, and different from the show, it's not like up in the sky. It's a fancy beach house.
Yeah, I just describe it like
Yeah,
copper
which is fine.
tones and
But the house up in the sky was actually pretty sweet in the show. And so he ends up talking to the Bancrofts and finds out
Just pack
he's
a
married
cigarette.
for almost like 250 years.
We're just, yeah, they've been interesting. He's trying to figure out their relationship, Miriam and
Jenny says it was nice to see the Catholics are just as despised for the future with their antiquated ways. Blast you and your antiquated ways.
antiquated ways.
Your extinct religion.
Still having to protest.
Well, already. I'm watering down the Star Wars quotes, unfortunately. We'll have to sharpen those up. And then we get pretty involved explanation of what the envoys are. The envoy corps was.
Yeah, it kind of gives you an
Yeah.
idea.
Catches you up. There's more
Yeah.
details, I think, that come later, but it was like a big block of all of that. There's something in my notes that I have no idea what it says.
So he meets Miriam, and he meets Bancroft,
Yeah.
and
Oh, that's what it
he's
says.
like,
So
I didn't kill
Bancroft-
myself.
Yeah, Bancroft was 357 years old.
Up there.
Yeah. But you had some thoughts on how they cast, well, not cast him, how he's written in the book versus cast in the show, and then also
Yeah,
the
his character
the-
description, and in
the voice in the book was.
Yeah, in the voice in the audio version, he kind of sounds like the character from The Simpsons. What's his name?
He said it sounds like Mr. Burns in the
Mr.
audiobook.
Burns, yeah. I can't even do his voice. I'm not
Yeah.
even gonna try. But
Jenny, did you get you were listening to the audiobook, I think you told me? Did you think he sounded like Mr. Burns? Let me know in the chat.
yeah, and he had that long ponytail, and like he just
That's kind of
like the
funny.
artsy kind of, yeah.
weird.
But in the
Yeah, he sounds like
book,
a
he
gross
looks a
art.
lot more modern, and yeah.
I liked the way it was cast in the show. He
Mhm.
made a good we'll get to like what they call those old people. But there's part of the dialogue exchange between Kovacs
Yeah,
and
true, they don't-
Bancroft that I enjoyed. Picking up in the middle of a paragraph where Bancroft is speaking. He finishes up, people envy me, people hate me. It is the price of success.
Yeah.
But
That makes
Kovacs
sense, right?
thinks is not actually indicated. This is spoken out loud. He says, well, this was news to me. People hate me on a dozen different worlds. I've never considered myself a successful man.
So he's like a well not loved character. Envoy, fighter,
another
type.
good bit of character, establishing the character of Kovacs, and he's not so much exactly hero type.
Yeah.
Jenny says she pictured Bancroft in the audiobook more like the old guy from Jurassic Park. He's probably not
Yeah.
rotund though, because all the technology, and he's like a perfected clone.
They never say whether his sleeve is his own. You know what I mean? Like, is that modeled from your like original body?
Yeah, it might
Or
not
is
be.
this like you're just like,
Some
forget it.
other
I gotta get a new
idealized
sleeve,
design
and just
that
like
comes
this
up
one's
with.
old.
Yeah.
Get a new one.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, we get to a lot of that.
Especially
later as
Miriam,
well.
like they describe her as like a teenager body. I'm like,
Yeah,
where'd you pick
almost.
that up?
Well, in the next chapter, she says that like she's over 300 years old too,
Yeah.
and she's in her 11th body.
And her eyes are old.
Yeah.
I'm like, does that mean they have like,
Eva, old eyes staring out at you.
what do they have in those eyes?
I don't know. But I
Hmm.
guess that averages out to like 30 years per sleeve. But later they talk more about how they switching sleeves and stuff. So I think that that 11 total maybe it's right, but it could also be a little bit off. And is it, like you said, her original sleeve?
Yeah, is
Her
it
original
modeled after her
body
original
design,
body?
because it's just a
Or-
clone now that she's in.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's had like 11 different models.
Yeah. She's like, oh, I'll just
And
try
it's just
this
the
one.
current one.
But it seems like, I mean, later we'll get to the tanking facility and stuff like that. But it seemed like they were all the same in the tanking facility. She really likes that model.
Currently. That's
Yeah.
that's the one she's rocking right now.
Yeah.
Sort of like having six identical McLarens, and you just decide which one you want to drive that day.
Yeah. So back to Bancroft, he was like, I I didn't kill myself. I didn't do that.
Oh yeah.
To
Kind of skipped
blow
that.
my stack, and I didn't somebody didn't shoot me. So, and he's like, the big clue or whatever is like, there's a phone call after I ended and someone's just breathing on the phone.
Well, that
We
was
need
a
Hugo
call
here to
from their house somewhere, and there was just breathing.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
breathing.
And we're kind of talking through this like you have read it or listened to it already, and so we just kind of didn't go into the most obvious plot points, which was first Kovash has been brought to Earth digitally, downloaded into a new body, so he can try to solve this mystery for Bancroft of how did he end up like missing his head,
Yeah.
which looked like he had done it himself with the particle blaster in his office.
Yeah.
The colonel in the library with the candlestick.
I'm feeling Jenny. I think I like this race leaving idea. I'd like to try this out.
Yeah.
Forget the working out. Just new
All this
body.
working out.
Good.
And I could have just got re-sleeved.
For
500 years from now, yes. But right now, I'm not sure. We could try to
the
find
newer
somewhere
model.
doing that, but
Twitching.
yeah,
Like my body.
the technology isn't quite there. It's a little bit experimental. Poor monkeys with the Elon Musk electrodes in their heads. It's not working out real well. I don't think we want to try it quite yet.
Yeah.
We'll let Musk do it to himself first, and then yeah, man,
Yeah,
maybe
I'm
we'll
sure
give it
he
a
has
shot.
some upgrades. Yeah, so then he meets up with Miriam in her
Yeah, they have a chat in the map room or whatever that was.
Sounds archaic
Just
for those
saying, like,
times.
oh, basically she didn't do it, and she's back and forth on
Yeah,
being.
she is like, I'm telling you the truth. I did not do that. And you can look at the police records.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like moderately interesting going back and forth, but it's just the
Like,
beginning of their interactions.
You kind of skirt around the truth, like you don't just say it straight up. And he's like, on my like planet, we don't do cut it like that. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah. I thought
Yeah,
that
or
was
something about
interesting.
Manners or something. It's a little bit different
Yeah.
Harlan's world. But then they're also just really old and rich people, so they probably behave differently than some of the other people on Earth as well.
Yeah.
A twisted point of view, most likely.
I feel like it's like also a privilege way of like acting. You're just straight out with stuff. Yeah.
You just hand your tennis racket to your maid.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Just tell people how it is, and that's it.
The next chapter, so we're Spaz is like minorly disappointed compared to the show. Mostly I'm not. But Kovac gets gets taken to go find a hotel by the guy that was supposed to pick him up originally, but he wasn't there. Yeah, the chauffeur, which plays more of a role later on. That guy. So he finds a hotel, and it's Hendrix.
Yeah.
It's not.
Don't they have Hendrix playing guitar outside the?
Yeah, there's like some hologram,
the
or
hologram,
something
yeah, of course.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have a clone of Hendrix standing outside, but
yeah.
But there's no Poe. I actually really like that character in the show.
Oh, yeah, the AI is just kind of there in the hotel, but it's not an actual character. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Well, it's a
true.
different hotel, and it doesn't
Mhm.
have that character, and
Yeah, it
there's
is
not as much
different
personality to
actor.
the AI that's running the hotel.
Yeah.
So I have a different hotel.
Yeah,
So this is
that's
one thing I
true.
did.
He's a funny
Yeah,
character.
I like that character.
But I
But
feel like the main character has a little bit of like the jovialness that are funny quips that keep it
yeah.
on going.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's still enjoyable. So maybe they didn't need the same uh, comic relief
Yeah.
from Poe
It was
that the
good.
show had, but so he's trying to check in, and who shows up? Dimitri Cadman.
Somebody
Yeah. So
shoot him.
he gets accosted by a pair of gunmen who know his real name, not the name of like the sleeve that he's in, and they're not just random people attacking him because they actually know his name. That's okay because the hotel takes care of him.
Yeah, he's
Like,
just like in the nick of time, like
yeah.
save me.
So they get destroyed by the 20 millimeter autocannons that are just happen to be installed in the lobby. And
Yeah.
after that, the hotel simply says, "Your room is ready, sir," which I found pretty funny.
Just did that for you, no babe.
Yeah.
Actually, it was like the AI crave people as
Yes.
guests as much as sex.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So
think
they're
that's how
like-
Ortega put it.
Yeah. So they're willing to kill for it.
Yeah. So after Cadman and his partner are taken care of by the hotel, eventually, like the cops show up, and eventually even Ortega's back, and they're having like their second major interaction.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the cops carrying big hunting knives and stuff?
Yeah.
Think about this. So
And
like they were so nonchalant about just cutting into the neck and skull of a corpse. They're like, oh, the cops in this story do this all the time. It's
Get
freaking
it.
terrible.
Just get it out.
Yeah, and-
Ortega's just like, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, it's like, get out of the way, I got this. And as it described in the book, she puts her knee on the skull to like pin it down and then cuts this thing out of the skull. I'm like, okay. They do that all the time. It's really like
Yeah.
setting it's part of the dystopian worlds
In
where
the book, it describes it like, oh, sorry.
Hmm?
It just describes it with like little wires hanging from it, and then in the movie, it's like this shiny little, pretty
yeah.
thing, which I hope, yeah, my soul looks shiny and pretty
Yeah.
too.
So you think your soul is in the stack?
That's, yeah, right? Isn't that what it is?
Well, they're
Or the essence
like their
of a human
memories.
being?
Their memories are in there.
Oh, are the memories? Okay.
Yeah. It depends on what you think a soul is.
Wasn't that what the Catholics were debating? Where there was like,
It's not really there or
yeah.
yeah. But jumping back at the thing with the Catholics they were talking about, like Kovash was wondering, like, well, they can't use birth control. Why aren't they running the whole planet? And then it's kind of explained. It's like, well,
Very real death.
they don't have like for any crimes. They don't have like a holding. They don't go to physical jail. They just store you, and then after you do that, they would put you back in body. But the Catholics don't believe in that. So anything at all that they have to do any time for is a death sentence for them. So like if they're supposed to go to jail for 3 weeks,
So you can't
they
take
just
over
never
the
get put
planet
back into a
without
body,
them.
and so it's kind of like
Like
tamping down them, maybe
jail.
taking over. I don't know.
Yeah. A little bit of, it sounds like jail also, because that's kind of what they do. Just keep the stacks on file or something.
Except they, like you mentioned earlier, they go right back to just all their memories. Like they restart exactly where they were when they went in, or where their sleeve died the last time. So in some ways, it's like, is it that much of a punishment? I don't know.
Yeah.
And they still don't want to leapfrog 100 years in the future, 200 years in the future for something. They'd rather not get caught. But I don't know. But then, the whole argument of prison not being a great deterrent and definitely not a like rehabilitative experience. So maybe it's not any worse. I don't know.
Mystery.
Yeah. But yeah, the way they dug that out. Yeah, we do this all the time. We started to learn about the crime of double sleeving because it turns out
There was a double sleeve.
Cadman's female partner was actually also him.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So
The
he
double
copied
sleeving
himself.
thing seems is that like possible, and they're talking about how can you do that? And in Harlem's world, it was like seemed a lot more difficult.
Yeah, just weird steps of
And
like scamming the system to get copied twice into bodies. But I thought a more interesting question was like, why is that a crime anyway?
mm, hmm.
If you can afford to do it,
Yeah. It's true.
yeah.
But if you're
Not really.
they just want to be able to track everyone, like they want to track everyone now. You know?
What does stopping the double sleeving really do that? Because they still move around.
No, I guess you can't. I'm surprised they don't like track people more. I don't
You have a cell phone, don't you?
know. No, not now. I mean, like on this, he doesn't describe a whole lot
Oh,
of tracking
okay.
in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe maybe they are. Maybe it's just I don't know.
Yeah. We get introduced to the term meth here.
Yes.
I don't remember if in
Not
the
the
show
drug,
they really
but the
spelled out
human.
where the no, that's the tetrameth.
The tetrameth. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
the drugs of the
That's
future.
true. But
Yeah, they
then,
have. But the term meth with a capital N in the book.
yeah,
I don't remember if they in the show they actually
called him.
no, they used the
Did they?
term,
Oh.
but I don't recall if they explained where the term came from in the show.
Oh.
But I think it was kind of obvious enough.
Hmm.
Methuselah,
Oh.
you know. Yeah. But it completely spelled it out in the book, so there was no misunderstanding. The weird thing there Kovacs was talking about in the book or thinking, however it goes, like most people only do like on Harlan's World 2 sleeves. Like that's all they can afford, and then that's all that
Yeah, he
they
got
like
really
they live
deep
2
into
lifetimes.
that.
Yeah, they
Where,
live 2
like,
lifetimes, and that's nothing. Like, yeah, I don't
this is
really
the
want to do this
reality
anymore.
of sleeping.
So I said,
Yeah.
unless they're really wealthy, they have to go through like the full lifespan of the sleeve.
Mm-hmm. So the sleeve gets old.
Yeah, so they have to go through like the aging process and everything all through.
There's gonna be more souls than there are sleeves. So then, how does that work out? How is this possible?
You just get stuck in storage for a long time, or
what do they
indefinitely,
call
or
them?
you get stuck on the bottom of an ocean indefinitely.
In
Which are like if you're like
because
powered down, so you don't know where you're at.
Yeah, like how do they are they healing these sleeves and then keeping them? Like if you like the police cut off this guy's head and they're just gonna like reattach it and then reuse that sleeve.
I don't think from damage that severe. It's more like
Little things, because like Kovac has like scars.
Yeah, he has some
On
scars.
him, and
So it's like always like worth it. I think they start going into more in the second book.
Oh, okay.
With the combat sleeves, the soldiers, and like some of the wounds are worth healing, and then other ones like just get rid of the sleeve and put them in a new one. And then also we're talking about the ratios of number of zips like stacks to sleeves, and it's like daunting the numbers in the second book. I don't know how much. It's like it's interesting. Read it. It's not as much of like a detective thing. I feel like I would describe it a little bit more of kind of it's a military adventure, a bit of Indiana Jones instead of the hard-boiled detective
The second
story.
is
Yeah,
more
the second
Indiana
book.
Jones.
Yeah. Still really enjoy it, though. I've read that as well.
I was just so amazed how. Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard anything like this re-sleeving. I've heard of like, oh, AI or maybe like cyborg type. But this is like, oh, just put him in a new body.
It's definitely a
I like
version
that.
of transhumanism, which is, yeah, I don't know what to call a movement because not doing anything. It's just an idea. It's like, oh, someday we'll be able to do this.
Yeah.
But people consider like potential reality in the future of your consciousness can be digitized and stored on silicon,
Yeah.
whatever. And then
Yeah, I like
over
how deep
time
he
being,
gets into it.
yeah, it's a very fun book. It's a great adventure, but also it's lots of opportunities to think about what if.
Yeah,
So
makes you.
yeah, there's multiple technologies in the book that we don't have, but
Yeah.
the defining difference is the technology of the stack storing your memories, maybe your consciousness, and how that affects how people value life. And so that's all it
back
takes.
to where we were with that chapter when like Ortega's like chops out the stack.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of interesting how she's just like giving him like telling him about Case like most of the time when you encounter a police officer, they're not just like, oh, so about this blah blah blah, these people are this people,
Right.
like
It's maybe some of the
just like
foreshadowing.
yeah, there's a foreshadowing for sure.
Yeah, there's some of that.
Yeah.
Like,
And
why is she talking to this guy, like giving up too much?
Yeah.
Or just feel like this is an agent of Bancroft and so he's gonna do
like
whatever
she's so
he wants.
comfortable, just like yeah. So,
I like I don't know if it's the first time it's used, but I think it turns up more in this section is the term of organic damage. Because then you have that technology that changes so many other things. Like it's not always murder anymore. It's just organic damage because their consciousness is still intact in the stack.
yeah.
So like the crimes that they quote at times. It's kind of interesting.
So then when I was like reading the book, I'm like, this guy, he seems so tired. When is he actually gonna sleep? And then he finally gets to sleep in his hotel room.
Whole 7-something hours or whatever it was.
And then is that when he has the Jimmy dream?
Yeah, he finally sleeps and he has the Jimmy DeSoto dream at the beginning of chapter 7.
Yeah. And Jimmy is an interesting character. You're like, I think he had to have been in the envoy with him, and like, why is he missing an eye? I thought
it does say that he tore it out himself.
Yeah, I missed that part
but
somehow.
Why he tore it out himself, I think, is pushed off till later in the story.
Yeah, so you're just like, whoa, and it's so trippy. That dream.
Yeah.
He's just
it's really well described, really well written.
Yeah.
So like he has the hand on the shoulder and he starts walking.
Yeah.
But he still feels the hand on his shoulder. So like, oh, it must have like extended.
Yeah.
But instead he was just like floating there. And it really is a way that some dreams go.
Yeah, you're just like, how
like there are multiple
things
at the same time. And
this person is still attached to me. Like later you think about that, but at the time just like
We get to visit the Psychosec facility on Alcatraz.
Yeah.
There's kind of some
where he meets the lawyer, right?
Neat scene. He meets the lawyer at the hotel when he wakes up.
Yeah,
and then they go together to Alcatraz for that.
But I do like how the hotel's like, oh, I thought this would be good for you. These visitors that have to do with Bancroft.
Yeah, well, she was I think
She had
showed
planned to
up
meet with him, yeah.
after, like, he gave the hotel that period of like, I don't want any phone calls or messages, or don't bother me for
Yeah.
this period of time. And so he didn't get her calls, but then she was just there.
Yeah.
But that was like after the cutoff, and he's having breakfast in his blue
Yeah.
robe. But then we're at Alcatraz, and it's almost like not a ton happens, but you just get some cool scenery described, like the mobile of the clones.
Yeah.
Sort of like a fractal arrangement, or
And
just
it's
like the
really
golden ratio,
fancy.
maybe.
There's somebody cleaning
Humans
it.
cleaning.
Humans.
Not robots.
Not
We're gonna have robots doing it, but we have real humans because we're fancy.
Yeah. Have them detail it.
Yeah. And the guy in charge there, Nyman, whatever his name was,
Yeah.
so that the Bancrofts, or maybe other people, I remember how general he said it, but that they'll change their sleeves so they don't put too much wear and tear on them. So like identical clones, they don't always get downloaded back into the same one. They kind of cycle them.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, well, what does that 11 number that Miriam gave earlier actually mean? If she's like switching between them so that they don't wear out too fast.
Oh yeah, like
She always looks like a creepy teenager with his
Mhm.
really old eyes.
old eyes. I'm sure she doesn't have cataracts, but what's going on?
And what does that mean, old eyes?
Old eyes, like an old soul, or something's behind them.
When they start reviewing Kovac and Prescott, the lawyer, they start going through the threatening messages to Bancroft, trying to figure out, like, okay.
And it just starts off like in the book, I'm like, what is happening? And they're like, oh,
Jarring.
he's describing this video call where people are just yelling at him, like, ah.
Yeah. And well, earlier, I forget at which stage, but Ortega had told Kovac to ask the lawyers about Layla Begin, and he actually does get around to asking Prescott about that, and that was pretty. Holy shit! What happened? Do you remember?
So, no.
No. So Layla Begin was one of the hookers that Bancroft was banging, and she was turned up pregnant.
Oh, they did get into
Miriam-
that a bit
Yeah, Miriam
Oh,
like
okay.
met her somewhere and
and just beat the
went to the
crap out of
bathroom. Yeah, beat the crap out of her and
Yeah.
caused a miscarriage.
her. Yeah.
So then which should have been
I do
like a
remember that.
charge with real death, but enough people were paid off.
Yeah, and that's
including Layla
like
Begin.
why Ortega's like, ugh, you guys are so.
Yeah. But like,
Mess.
maybe you were murdered, but I don't really care.
Yeah, you just get away with
It's
everything.
yeah, the evidence is close enough that that's not how you lost your head,
Yeah.
Mr. Bancroft. So we're gonna move on.
Yeah, just get over
Yeah.
it already.
And chapter 8,
Just close.
we're almost through what we're going over today. Chapter 8, after reviewing a lot of those nasty phone calls and stuff, I narrowed it down a little bit.
Well, he found that one character, right? Or
Well,
was
he
that
goes
in
he
there?
goes to talk to Victor Elliott because he had sent a threatening message that actually fit the way that Bancroft lost his head with the particle blaster. Yeah. So many coughs today.
Yeah. I think it was also the lawyer was kind of like, it was interesting how they're like, look at each other at the sleeping facility and they're like, can we talk about this? And then they just like, is this a lawyer matter or legal matter? I mean,
Yeah, I think things could have been greased better for Kovac. It's like
Yeah.
cooperation ahead of time to
Yeah,
help him on
seems-
his investigation, but they're hiding certain things from him.
Yeah.
But maybe it just makes for a better story too.
Maybe.
If he
True.
just solved it in a day, it'd be a much shorter book.
It's true.
So he meets Elliot, and they're in that place. What is it called? Ember? But it had that huge ship that ran aground.
Oh,
It was kind of neat
yeah.
visual.
Was that with Ortega?
Oh, he goes by himself in the
Later.
ground car.
Oh.
He like rents from
Yeah.
a sleazy rental place,
Uh-huh.
which is interestingly, I think it said it was 2 blocks from Prescott's office. So still not like that ritzy of a area that her office was at. That there isn't a sleazy car rental place a couple blocks over. Sometimes your downtown areas that are developed that way anyway.
Yeah. Still the same. Hundreds of years later.
Yeah. But we learn about Victor Elliot, his daughter Elizabeth, which is
Mhm.
what happened to her caused Victor Elliot to make the
Sad
threats.
story. They made it way
Yeah.
more sad in the show. But then in the book, it's like, okay, like this happened. He was still
Oh.
just like really,
I think it's
really,
really, really horrible in
yeah.
the book too.
Yeah, that's true. He was really upset about it and just like, yeah,
But then
devastated.
some of the weird thing then, Irene went on storage. She had to go in and do time for unrelated reasons because she
Mhm.
was like stealing data, people's memories and stuff.
Mhm.
But the weird thing is her sleeve was up for sale, so this establishes that people can just buy your sleeves like when you're in
Yeah.
jail.
And
And
like Kovac asleep.
yeah, some corporate
Yeah.
lady or whatever just bought it and wears it every other month.
Yeah.
is
and he's
weird.
just like, I hate that.
But
That
I
would be
guess
so awful.
I guess she'd have a
I can
great body
imagine.
if somebody just goes and buys it up
Well, she was
while she's in
young,
jail.
so I'm sure she had a great body.
Well, it's not the daughter, it's the mother.
Oh, the
So
mother.
I guess the father's at least like middle aged because he retired from military and all that.
It'd just
He's
be
a
such a
sergeant or
mind
something.
trip. Just like, what?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And Kovac has a little bit of a scuffle with Victor Elliot. It's like
Mhm.
his first fight where he's a little more in tune. He's had his nap. He's a little more in tune with the new sleeve.
Yeah.
And he just soundly handles the old sergeant.
Just catches him with his can.
Yeah,
Help.
it's Nurkian. He's
Nurkian.
just riding just fine.
Yeah.
But he's pretty sure, after meeting him and talking to Victor Elliot, that he's not the one that got to Bancroft. So just scratch that lead
Mm,
off. But it's like, okay, Bancroft may have been doing things with the daughter. And so that's a lead.
yeah.
So
Maybe?
in the next chapter,
It
we've
kinda
got 2
does.
left.
No.
Finds out he has help with Prescott to go and find the essentially whorehouse
Yeah.
where
with
Elizabeth Elliot was working, and
yeah.
she tried to
Which I missed the connection there.
how's that?
Like, who was she connected to?
To Lawrence Bancroft.
She was the one that got pregnant.
No, that was Layla Begin.
Oh, okay, that's what I thought.
So Elizabeth got killed,
Oh, okay.
but she had her father knew that he was kind of like, I don't know, blackmailing or trying to get over on Lawrence Bancroft, and then she gets
Yeah,
killed, and so
so
he
that
assumes
she
that
could,
she
like,
did it.
She
Get
wanted
his
to
mother,
get his
get her
mother's
mother's body back. Yeah,
It's like, oh. Yeah.
yeah. So she gets killed, but her sleeve is still around. Or not her sleeve, her stack.
Mm-hmm.
Her stack is still around. But then we get to the trip to Jerry's close quarters, It's weird. I'm not really sure what
With the octopus that like
Yeah,
feels
the
around
security
him, and
octopus.
it's like, oh, yeah.
Is that your favorite part?
I like the security octopus. I just imagine myself like walking to some place and like an octopus filling me up. I'm like, what's happening?
And it talks too, or it'd be like extra creepy.
Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Like a funny
Those
voice.
weird, like, 8 arms do like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The octopus is funny.
So looking
Like-
at pictures of Lulu Begin and Elizabeth Elliot,
Uh-huh.
Kovacs figures out that he likes hookers that look like his wife, and he apparently does depraved things to them.
Oh.
Yeah, so they both like resemble
They
his
all
wife,
kind of look like his wife.
which doesn't work out in the show because they cast it totally different.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like some part of the
Oh,
connection
okay.
there,
Yeah, I didn't make
and why he's going to these places. He's got to find the ones that look like his wife.
Or he has a type, right?
He has a type, yeah. He has a type that he
He's a
wants to
type.
do bad things to.
Oh.
It just happens to his wife that he's been married to for 250 years.
The same
Total
type.
coincidence.
It's a type
It's nothing to do with being
for
married.
that long. Your type doesn't change, I guess.
Oh, so he goes to the whorehouse. He's just gonna talk to anybody there to try to get some leads, and he impersonates Irene Elliott
Uh-huh.
in a way that you can only do in cyberpunk story. He's totally in his
Yep.
male body. Where he's like,
I'm
oh
a
no,
woman.
I'm Irene Elliott.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm somehow it's just like
Yeah, so that's interesting. And he's more in charge of his
Mom.
body now, and so he can just like
convince
erase his
her.
erection.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. Don't pet.
So the lady working as the prostitute that he just happens to draw, like a Louise,
Mhm.
he convinces her.
And he kind of makes he's like, I have lies close to the truth that it seems plausible. So then she's more willing to like believe the story and go along with it and like maybe figure some stuff out. But then she's like totally freaked out that she's gonna get in trouble. So she's gonna like,
Yeah, I can really talk to him, but Louise is gonna ask some questions. He's supposed to come back the next day.
yeah.
Got convinced that he was Irene. I think when he's talking to her as Irene, and he asks something about like, have you seen any strange people around here? Or, like, and she responds, all the people who come here are strange.
All the people are
Like,
strange.
Fair, probably true.
They're willing to deal with an octopus at the
Yeah.
door. They might be a little strange.
Yeah. He leaves. No huge drama.
Yeah.
But what happens outside?
Dun dun dun. What do they call? What's that character? This really jacked up dude just comes after him, right?
Mongol.
Mongol.
Yeah.
That's what they describe.
So
as,
shady guys that were outside when he went in were also outside when he goes out and kind of waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
And they start off something. And
All the
like the big guy's the
dealers just
Mongol.
dealing out there.
Right, the phrasing they used when they pulled their guns out was the dealers skinned their weapons as they pulled them out of the holsters. Whatever. I feel like I've read that or heard that reference somewhere before.
It's like the capacious pockets.
Right. I
I
don't know. I liked that.
Yeah.
Way to describe. So, and then there's a whole chase.
And somehow Ortega comes and is like, "What are you doing here at Jimmy's?" or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
She just
Well,
shows up after they're done fighting.
So they
Oh well, they
conversation
They have a
little more.
helicopter or something, right? And they like
Right,
kind
and they
of gun him
shoot at the guy,
down.
but I think they missed
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, they don't get him, or they only get him a little bit.
Yeah.
Or he gets loose, anyways, somehow.
Some pretty ineffective cops.
Yeah.
And so
Just shooting from a helicopter. Like, how are you? What are you doing? What are you doing here? Like a bad
What-
child.
just what he was doing in Jerry's closed quarters.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, oh, you weren't in there very long. You were only 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But he says he would like, well, I was getting an itch scratched. Why else would I give it
It was
a
only
rest?
10 minutes.
Yeah, it was only 10 minutes. And of course he explains you do a lot for a woman in 10 minutes. I wouldn't know. I've never lasted that long, but he seemed pretty confident in himself.
Yeah, she's just like, okay, whatever.
She doesn't believe him.
Yeah, you're right.
They're investigating. She wants to know what he knows, even though they dropped the investigation. But
Yeah.
maybe that's not what she really wants to know, because we find out later.
Yeah.
At some point, Kovac is contemplating, and he wonders, like, what kind of crimes do AI commit anyway?
Mm. Yeah.
And for something that just reminded me, like, do androids dream of electric sheep? Like that,
Yeah.
which is maybe I'm making
Their
that connection too,
desires.
because that's also from, you know, a very well known. And that's also a very well-known cyberpunk story. Definitely actually better known than this one. But they're both firmly in the same genre,
Hmm.
Blade Runner
Oh.
and this. So, but I think we get to your favorite part
My
after.
favorite chapter.
Yeah.
Finally.
Well, this is the same chapter we're talking about. 10.
Oh.
We're right at the end of what we're going over today. We get
Yes.
to your favorite part of the book so far.
The
When
endless-
Miriam Bancroft shows up, or she's already in his
Yeah.
hotel.
She's just
she
waiting
has a
for him.
proposition.
The AI let her in because, you know, it's helping the case that you're working on.
So what?
And they have the endless gradient of sensation. And if you haven't read it, then you should definitely read it. Very sexy. Read it maybe more than once.
Probably shouldn't be listening to any part of this with. If you're listening to the audiobook, don't listen to it with children around. It definitely not that part.
Not alarmed. What if you stop your car and it's still going, and then the other people are gonna like, what is she listening to? Yep. It's so good.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it so far.
And with the help of drugs, they have some. She has her sleeve has a, what is that called? Something has a number in it.
Caffeine,
Something 9 or
69.
Yeah,
I don't
something
remember.
like that. Oh yeah. So it gets extra good.
Chemical upgrades.
More like
Bang.
bankrupt, am I right?
Bang.
Bankrupt, exactly. First thing I thought.
Which is
when I heard that name.
upgraded chemically.
Mm-hmm.
And one is like, well, this is kind of, it's like cheating. Not cheating. She's definitely cheating on her
Like
husband.
drugging whoever you want, you can have.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Yeah.
Or like,
As long as you're
I'm actually not attractive enough without excreting Viagra. So I had to have
I mean,
this
obviously
chemical
she
upgrade to
is
my
a
clone.
teenage body.
To
But it's
just
more
use
like I'll just keep you-
integrated party drugs. Integrated ecstasy.
Ecstasy, yeah.
They're doing ecstasy without the extra steps.
Yeah, just like you can't even consent to this. Just convinced you.
So we're wondering how long that was
Through
going to
the
take. We're a
air.
little over an hour.
Yeah.
We made it through.
We
So
made it through to
I guess we're going
chapter
to aim for these being about an hour, at least with this book.
But wait, we didn't go over the main part. Well, so she's there,
Yeah.
and they have this amazing sex, and then
But they read it already because they're good doobies.
I know, but she's trying to convince him to go on an island.
Oh,
and this is a
yeah.
mystery book, man.
That's
So she's like, "Hey, come onto my doubles, triple, 12 sleeve island where you can just have all the fun you want forever. I didn't
bang
kill
all
my
my
husband, I
clothes.
promise.
I totally did. I have zero
But
motivation
I really
to
want
be
you to
bribing
go
you this
there
way.
and not do this case." Yeah.
That's
So
right.
that's where it ends. It's kind of good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you finished the section satisfied, so you can put the book down. And...
Go to sleep.
Yes.
Or something else.
So I think that's it for today. So we want to throw out any more comments in the chat, or have some other things to talk about. We're going to do chapters 11 through 20 a week from today. So it's next Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only about 100 pages or less than 100 pages each section that we're doing. So whether you're listening or reading or doing both, like Amanda is.
Get you by my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. So much fun. And, that like and subscribe thing that people do.
I